Good morning. It's time to get in touch. In Touch is a public affairs show dedicated to improving the lives of Susquehanna Valley residents. I'm Freddi Hammer, news director at Backyard Broadcasting. When suicide is part of the story, the hearts of the loved ones left behind are broken, and they're left to struggle with the reasons and circumstances. When someone feels so alone and isolated and struggles with mental illness, it can be seen as a very permanent situation. But on the other side of that storm, we can say it isn't forever, and the clouds can lift with support and love and hope. While dealing with these very themes, Danville native Robert Hunter was inspired by students at his alma mater to create a song that reminds us that hope and understanding can lift us up. Robert Hunter, the creator of the song Permanent, thank you for being on In Touch today.
Great to be here. Great to be back in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. You're a Danville native. And yes, we wanted to hear about your journey from Danville, Pennsylvania. You're in Holland now with your lovely wife, and you have a lot of different opportunities to be inspirational about mental health with your song called Permanent. And tell me a little bit about your roots here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was born and raised in PA and had an amazing time here, but had an opportunity with a record and a novel I wrote to do a crazy first-of-its-kind book and record tour, which took me to all 50 U.S. states in a year.
Neat.
Played hundreds of shows and traveled over 125,000 miles in a year, and of all things, crossed paths with someone in Amarillo, Texas, who was on vacation from Holland, and stayed in touch with them throughout the tour and beyond. And anyway, long story short, we ended up getting married, and I moved to the Netherlands. So I started in Dutch country, Pennsylvania, basically, and ended up in Holland.
Well, when you break that down, there obviously were so many different things that you went through to make decisions and different things that occurred to you or made you take these different paths. So let's break that down and talk about that. At the beginning, when you were here, were you struggling with mental health issues? As I read, you did have some things that maybe you didn't even realize you were dealing with.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the road is such a busy place. I had, interviews every morning at 7 or 8 a.m. on TV or radio, and then it would be a bookstore appearance at 11, and, a show at maybe 8 p.m. with sometimes hundreds of miles in between in this RV with the guitar players and the responsibilities and all of that. So, yeah, there was a lot of pressure, but also a lot of distraction.
Right.
So, it definitely wore me down, but I wasn't really so much aware that it was wearing me down.
Rob, do you have a Christian background in your family? Did you rely on any kind of spiritual support?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a super faithful guy, and, prayed every day that the RV wouldn't explode.
Right.
And, we wouldn't fall off a cliff in the Grand Tetons or something, which came pretty close.
You put your faith in a lot of things.
Yeah, I have faith in a lot of things, including the brakes. But, yeah, I mean, with the pressure and everything, it got to a point where I did have to make some really, really difficult decisions. And my background, I've struggled with depression on and off in my, course of study in school with psychology. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty in tune with emotions and feelings. And ultimately, the toughest decision I ever had to make, and I honestly thought taking on the road, all 50 states, leaving my day job would have been the toughest decision. But it was really to sort of push pause on that dream and chase a different one, which was the idea of really being happy with someone. And that was a huge risk,
Right.
Just changing jobs can be stressful, or moving to a different house across town can be stressful. But I sold everything and risked it all again to move to a whole different country, with a language I don't even speak. And then the coronavirus.
Oh, my gosh. So you were then sort of double inspired, probably, at a low point, and then trying to seek yourself out of that place.
Exactly. And, that horrible pandemic affected, I know, everyone negatively and in different ways. But for me, being there, and it's a beautiful country, and I met so many wonderful people, but it was extremely isolating not to be able to, fly home or pursue musical ambitions, and also just not have my friends and family that I, have relied on here in Pennsylvania and people I met all over the country, just to be in a different country, locked down in the midst of a pandemic, and sort of watch this big dream sort of slipped through my fingers. It was really, 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 really tough. And it was something that, I struggled with very, very personally. I kept it very private.
Was this the fodder for that second novel that then came about?
Well, the second novel, which was released in Europe by a Belgian publisher, was sort of a comedic tale of the road. That was sort of an outlet for me just to kind of focus my energies on something positive. But what really came out of that dark place was the song Permanent. And it's ironic because, I had just been looking at my news feed and I saw a story about some high school kids who had started a mental health awareness, suicide prevention group in response to some tragic suicides that had taken place. And I just saw the headline, and I thought, wow, that's really, really cool that kids are taking the initiative to sort of destigmatize the idea of depression or to offer support to people who really need it. And honestly, one of them was me, so it connected with me, and I clicked on the story, and lo and behold, these are kids in Danville. Just your hometown. In my hometown. I'm reading this in Holland, really like at a very low point in my life, and I'm seeing, oh my gosh, these are kids in Danville doing this. And, I just literally right then picked up my guitar, which, to be honest, I hadn't even played in months. And, I've been playing guitar since I was a kid. Even when it wasn't my profession, it was just something I enjoyed. But again, in that dark place, I sort of, isolated myself, which is the wrong thing to do. And it took some high school kids in all the places in my hometown to kind of open my eyes. So I just started strumming the guitar, and I sort of just wrote the words that I needed to hear. Right. Take a breath, hold it in, this will pass. I promise you, my friend. Breathe out slow and repeat again, just so you know the dark is not permanent. And sent this just on a cell phone recording to a parent who was a parent of one of the people in the group, and just said, hey, pass this along to these kids and let them know, somebody in Holland was really affected by the work they're doing. And I don't just mean inspired. I mean, it hit home for me in a very, personal way. And here's the song I wrote. And put you on that healing path, in a way. Yeah, exactly. And they were, I guess, inspired back, which is, I guess, how inspiration works. And wanted to make the song professionally, and I'm not able to even leave the country at that point, but I have connections in Nashville. I made a few phone calls, and next thing you know, the song is done, and I'm really, really proud of it. Obviously, as a professional musician, you've got this idea of fame or fortune or whatever, but it has nothing to do with this song. I had a completely different heart, and still do. My only ambition was to connect with someone who needs to hear that message the way that I did at that time. And it turns out, lots of people did. It made me cry. I would get these messages from people all over the world who were going through a tough time and shared a personal story. And just incredible how all of it came together by coincidence, I guess you could say. I love the story. I don't feel that there is a coincidence here. I think you were placed where you needed to be. You had the experiences you needed to have this happen for you. I agree. Yeah, I don't believe in this being a coincidence at all. I think it was meant to be, and to be honest, I would be thrilled if it helped just one person, but it's helped many. One of them is me. Yeah. But I have this heart to share that message, and music is my vessel for that. But it's so important that we don't isolate. When we're down or depressed or whatever, that's the time when you need to be talking. The song, it speaks to that. I know it's hard, but please let someone in. If you don't mind, may we play it? Oh, I'd love it. All right, we'll put this on right now. It's called Permanent by Robert Hunter, and then we'll talk about it when we come back.
Just take a breath and hold it in. This will pass, I promise you, my friend. Now breathe out slow and repeat again, just so you know the dark is not permanent. I know this way, it's gonna be okay. It's not permanent. If you're lost, don't be ashamed. We all lose our way. It's gonna be okay. It's not permanent. Now getting back to the situation, I know it's hard, but please let someone in. I've been so alone and without a friend. Just so you know, alone is not permanent.
I love this song. Turn it up.
I know you're afraid to feel this way. It's gonna be okay. It's not permanent. If you're lost, don't be ashamed. We all lose our way. It's gonna be okay. It's not permanent. It's not permanent. And if you're lost, don't be ashamed. We all lose our way. It's gonna be okay. It's not permanent. Just take a breath and hold it in. This will pass, promise you, my friend, 'cause you're permanent.
Oh my gosh, how cool to have a song like this on In Touch this morning. It's Permanent by Robert Hunter, available on YouTube and roberthuntermusic.net. Thanks, Robert. That was excellent.
Thank you.
So I believe, like we were talking before the song, that you were really placed in these places to make this beautiful music. And the woman, Lauren Hawkins, are you still in touch with her?
Yes. Yeah, she's moved on to college, but just a few weeks back, being that I'm back in the States, went to visit her and, once again, let her know just she can, and others can do anything. You can literally change the world for the better with a heart like that. And just really wanted to let her know how powerful, her actions in forming this group were, and that there's like this ripple effect. And sometimes you don't even know what the ripple is, but it's there for sure. And I'm just so proud of her. So yeah, I brought her a T-shirt also.
That's fantastic. How can we get in touch with you as well as in touch with Lauren Hawkins and also the Students Preserving Mental Health at Danville? Is that organization still working to make sure that that's destigmatized? Yeah, and in fact, it seems that they're growing in their capacity to do so. They've got an Instagram page, Danville SPM. Also, if people would like to reach out to me, certainly I've also got Instagram at Robert Hunter Music. And really, I think the greater message is to support groups like that and people who are trying to destigmatize mental health and be support to people who are desperately in need of it. But also, not just that, but in your personal life, just be aware that, there are people who are struggling, and more often than not, they're not going to tell you. Or if they do, it's in small ways. And I think it's really important to be okay with people not being okay. So let them, share with you their feelings and be someone in their life who's supportive. It's just so vitally important because we've lost way too many good people. You can name celebrities and probably friends or family. It's an issue that I'm 100% convinced if you yourself don't struggle with it, you love or care about someone that does. And it's, I think, universal. It affects us all in one way, shape, or form. And so it's got to be destigmatized so that when people are struggling, they're willing to talk about it. Absolutely. We had a youth event over the weekend that we got a chance to talk a little bit about this. And that just came to my mind that the adults in this room want to make sure the teenagers in this room know that these things that you feel that are so heartbreaking that we also felt at your age are not going to stick around, and you will be able to remember them, but you won't feel the pain anymore, and it will be gone. And so ironic, here we are talking about the song Permanent, which is exactly the message that... Exactly the message. Exactly that. Because when I was that age, I went through things, and even as an adult, the experience I had during lockdown in Holland and on the road, it all felt permanent. It really did. It felt like the end. It felt like it would never end. But the truth is, it will. It will pass. And it's going to be okay. And that's,
something I think we all need a reminder of now and then. And my way of doing it is playing a song.
It's also important, I think, to let a person who you may feel is struggling to guide you and not you guide them. What do you need? How can I help? Instead of, this is what I think, and you need to do this. Let a person guide you.
Exactly. And you might even be inspired as well. Mm-hmm. And again, that's sort of a lot of the stories that I've heard from people I've never met, of their struggles, the way they connected with the song. And some of these are really beautiful, talented, amazing people. And, they're sharing their difficult time with me. In a way, it inspired me, so I can sort of give them that inspiration back. Mm-hmm. Like the dark times can make us stronger. We just have to help each other through.
Absolutely. Robert Hunter, what's on your future plate? Where do you see yourself? You see yourself remaining in Holland?
It's funny you say that. I've got some amazing things happening right now. Some incredible artists have been inspired by the song Permanent. It's such an honor.
Oh, yeah.
They're remaking it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Several different artists in genres I don't even know. I'm not sure if it's going to be some bluegrass or country or dance music or heavy metal. I don't even care. I believe in this message so much that I'm greenlighting several different people to make their own version of the song, with the idea that, one, I think that's cool and fun, but two, it's going to reach a different audience than those who might, like my version of it.
Sure.
I'm really excited to hear, these alternate versions. And at the beginning of the year, I'll be working with NAMI, the National Association for Mental Illness, and writing some articles and things for them about my adventures on the road and struggles with depression, and hopefully inspiring people and connecting with the people who need to hear this message the most.
That sounds so exciting. You have been completely prepared to do that.
It's interesting. I didn't even think of it, actually, until you just said this, Freddi. But yes, between my background in psychology and my experiences on the road and my personal struggles, I think you're right.
Well, thank you for putting yourself out there, because I know that you can probably feel like, am I doing the right thing? And these kind of rewards and fruits of your labor are definitely, I'm sure, such a bright spot. And I'm glad it's happening for you, Robert, and your wife.
It's a scary thing to do, to put yourself out there and to, share these personal things. But I truly believe that in doing that, it might help somebody. So I'm proud to do it.
Thank you, Robert. It's roberthuntermusic.net, which is a great place to start, because all the places that you are touch have links at that spot, correct?
Correct.
And there's Instagram stuff that you can subscribe to and see all kinds of beautiful pictures, I think, of your family and all kinds of things that you've done. It's NAMI.org. I was wondering also about that. Is that a spot to go for a national mental health information?
Yeah. They're a tremendous organization with lots of resources for people who are struggling or people who aren't but want to contribute in some way to help organizations that do great work in that regard.
We're grateful for you to be on In Touch today, Robert Hunter, with the song Permanent. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Freddi.
In Touch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us regarding questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays between 8 and 5, 570-323-8200. You can also write to us at 1685 4 Mile Drive, Williamsport, PA 17701. Attention, Freddi Hammer. Or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archived programs of our In Touch series, you can download and subscribe to our new Backyard Podcasting feature through a link on any Backyard Broadcasting website or obtained where podcasts are available. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. The programming discussed here on In Touch does not necessarily reflect the feelings or opinions of the management or staff. Thanks for listening to In Touch, a production of Backyard Broadcasting.